12 hours after Donald Trump predicted his close clear of Super Tuesday states would lead to solidarity very quickly within the Republican Party, the previous president conveyed a separating shot to his final remaining match for the GOP designation. On his social media location Truth Social, he called a few of Nikki Haley's supporters radical cleared-out Democrats and expelled her Vermont triumph the day sometime recently as less than authentic. "I hope she remains within the race and battles it out until the end," he included. But by then, the previous South Carolina governor was not within the race. A miniature earlier, Haley had suspended her presidential campaign, making Trump the hypothetical Republican candidate on his way to a rematch with President Joe Biden. As he develops triumphant from the Republican essential race, Trump faces significant challenges both interior and exterior the political arena. He is battling to delay 4 criminal trials until after the November decision, a fight that's headed to the U.S. Incomparable Court following month. Mounting lawful bills and more than $500 million in judgments against him have debilitated his individual and campaign accounts. But chief among his needs as a candidate over the following 8 months will be energizing embittered Republicans around his third White House offered. Trump's group is definitely mindful of how polarizing their candidate is, which each vote will check in what is anticipated to be an exceedingly competitive common race rematch. Wednesday's unpropitious begin to Trump's outreach endeavors is intelligent of the long-standing concerns around his personality and fashion that motivated many Republicans to back Haley, Florida Gov. Ron Remark is and other candidates over the previous president. Haley, in her concession speech, withheld an underwriting and instep empowered Trump to earn the vote of those who bolstered her. "This is presently his time for choosing," Haley said. In cruising to his party's assignment, Trump cleared out small question that he remains the dominant figure within the GOP. Keeping to a strikingly light campaign plan all through much of 2023, Trump vanquished with relative ease a field that included his previous bad habit president, Mike Pence, his to begin with envoy to the United Nations, Haley, a one-time prestige, Remark May, be a best congressional partner, Tim Scott, and the man who initiated his to begin with presidential move group, Chris Christie, among others. The verifiably quick essential race conveyed an result that showed up unavoidable since Trump seized control of the lead final summer. With the result all but certain, Trump largely pivoted to the common race weeks prior. Notices of Haley at Energizes and on social media have developed progressively uncommon as he instep centered on Biden and the issues he's serious to construct his campaign around, specifically migration. On Wednesday, Trump challenged Biden to wrangle about anytime, anyplace, in my place. In the meantime, sewing up the designation by early walk gives Trump get to the Republican National Committee's voluminous information on its voters distant sooner than his 2016 campaign, as well as its raising money framework and ground operation. These assets are basic to Trump's campaign, as they make plans to construct out their groups in key battleground states like Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania within the coming weeks and months. The complete bolster of the RNC, which after this week is likely to incorporate pioneers Trump chosen, including his daughter-in-law Lara Trump as co-chair, 2 guarantees that Republican parties in each state will start working quickly toward the objective of choosing Trump. The RNC made a difference pay Trump's legitimate expenses after he cleared out office, but ceased when Trump reported his candidacy in 2022. Whereas Trump's lawful costs have amassed, the previous president's senior advisors insist they don't arrange to tap into the committee's coffers to assist cover Trump's mounting legitimate bills. In the interim, a few deep-pocketed givers who have been attentive of having their names connected to Trump may well be more willing to type in a check to the RNC, a former RNC official told CNN. Can Trump win over Haley supporters? Even as Trump looked ahead to a November rematch with Biden, GOP designating challenges kept on illustrate that Republican bolster for him isn't nearly as ubiquitous as his ruling record would recommend. From Iowa and modern Hampshire through Super Tuesday, Haley especially exposed tireless divisions within the party and headwinds for Trump recovering direct bolster. In North Carolina, a key battleground Trump twice barely won that President Joe Biden is focusing on, 85% of Haley's voters do not accept Trump is rationally fit to serve, agreeing to CNN exit surveys. In the meantime, about 3 in 10 of all essential voters said Trump wouldn't be fit for the administration in the event that he is sentenced of a wrongdoing. And in Virginia, where Trump trusts to mount a competitive challenge, 3/4 of Haley's supporters aren't committed to voting for Trump in November. One of those voters, Doug Moran, who alluded to himself as a recuperating Republican, said he was a die-hard Republican until Trump took over the party. After voting for Haley on Tuesday, he said he would hold my nose and vote for Biden in a potential rematch of the 2020 race. I have ethical protests too, ethical and political complaints, to the way Donald Trump ran his campaign and served in office. Some of the choices he's made, I think, are fair off-base for our country, Moran said. In later discussions with more than a dozen Haley voters in essential states, numerous of them shared similar struggles and voiced vulnerability, or by and large refusal, to back Trump ought he gotten to be the GOP chosen one. My inner voice won't permit me to vote for a criminal, Jack Wolber, a Republican from Nashua, modern Hampshire, told CNN without further ado after voting within the state's January essential. Biden expanded an olive department to Haley's supporters without further ado after she suspended her campaign, saying in a statement, "There may be a put for them in my campaign." Donald Trump made it clear he doesn't need Nikki Haley's supporters, the articulation said. Still, there were other signs of the GOP coalescing around Trump. Senate Minority Pioneer Mitch McConnell, the outstanding holdout and steady fault-finder of the previous president, supported Trump in no time after Haley dropped out, a move that sent. Lindsey Graham called it good for the party. Trump's energy to move on from the essential in later weeks is driven in portion by inside acknowledgement of the tough climb he faces in persuading these Republicans, agreeing to conversations with several advisors. His group observed Haley perform well with suburban voters on Super Tuesday and recognized the work they have ahead of pursuing direct and free voters. Nothing could be a beyond any doubt thing this time around, one senior Trump consultant told CNN. They are in the method of recognizing zones of shortcoming for the previous president and trust to draw from some of the later essential information to assist shape their technique ahead of November. Portion of that center will incorporate peeling off voters from conventional Democratic strongholds. In recent months, Trump has made engaging to union family units a key portion of his technique for winning over working-class voters, particularly within the battleground states of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Courting the Teamsters Union, going to a non-union shop exterior Detroit amid the auto workers' strike, and railing against Biden's electric vehicle thrust. This week, a Trump-aligned Super PAC, MAGA, Inc., propelled a 3-week radio advertisement campaign focusing on dark voters in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Trump's campaign, moreover, sees an opening with Jewish American voters turned off by Biden's approach to Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza, a senior counsel told CNN. Just as they did in the Iowa caucuses, Trump's campaign is also identifying potential first-time voters, counsels already told CNN, an affirmation that some moderate voters and previous Republicans can't be won over. Be that as it may, these to a great extent remain broad goals and specific plans have, however, to uncover themselves. A few longtime Republican benefactors, too, require persuading. North Carolina Republican benefactor Craftsmanship Pope, who had been a major supporter of Haley's presidential aspirations, said Wednesday he's likely to center on competitive challenges for Congress and positions in his domestic state in the short term, but he did not rule out backing Trump's campaign. "I have never been a never-Trumper," said Pope, who oversees the assortment wholesalers' markdown chain. But he said his budgetary back would depend on the former president's vice presidential choice and the tone of his campaign moving forward. "It truly depends on him coming out to conventional preservationists, and regarding our positions on the issues," Pope said. Essentially, Texas businessman Roy Bailey, a one-time Trump sponsor who moved bolster this cycle to Descant, said he will see what the whole scene looks, sometime recently choosing whether to fundraise for the former president once more. With Trump's group profoundly concerned about his funds, the previous president went through final weekend hosting potential donors at Mar-a-Lago.